Okay. Shall we start or we want to wait for another couple of minutes?
Maybe we start.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our webinar today on the Great Nicobar Island project. I welcome all of you on behalf of the Breakthrough Science Society. I'm Ipshita Das, a postdoctoral researcher at Princeton University in the US. To begin with, Breakthrough Science Society is a non-profit social welfare organization based in India with the aim of cultivating and promoting a scientific temperament in society and to explain, disseminate, and popularize different discoveries and advancements of science. Based in India, the BSS had chapters all over the country engaged in diverse activities. Over the past several years, BSS has worked on organizing Indian researchers who are currently abroad and sought to engage them on relevant social, political, and scientific issues, both domestic and international. We sincerely hope that more and more people will join BSS and take part in this vital effort to save the humanity. All of our details can be found on the website. With that goal in mind, we felt that a discussion on the Great Nicobar project was warranted and urgent. The proposed Great Nicobar Island Development Project, including a trans-shipment port, airport, power plant, and township, raises serious environmental, social, and ethical concerns. While presented as a step toward economic growth and strategic development, the project threatens fragile rainforest ecosystems, biodiversity, coral reefs, and indigenous communities through large-scale deforestation and ecological disruption. This webinar aims to explore these concerns and discuss the broader implications for sustainable development and conservation. We are pleased to have today Adrika Deogharia as our speaker. Adrika is a PhD scholar at Delhi University. She is the State Secretary of BSS Delhi chapter and also a member of the All India Executive Committee of BSS. In the beginning, I would like to lay down a few rules. Our speaker will be presenting for roughly 30 to 35 minutes, and then we will have the follow-up question and answer session. I would request all the participants to keep their audio muted and video turned off unless you are called upon to ask a question later. Without further ado, let's welcome our speaker, Adrika Deogharia. Over to you, Adrika.
Thank you, Ipshita. I think I'll just first share the presentation. Is it visible?
Yes, I can see your screen, but the PowerPoint is not up yet.
Just tell me when you can see the full screen.
Sure.
No, I think, Adrika, you have to share the presentation. I think you have shared the window specifically. You have to share the specific window of the PowerPoint. Otherwise, you will not be able to see.
I have shared the specific window itself.
No, then it's not visible. Can you just stop sharing and reshare only the PowerPoint? window. Otherwise, you can do like share everything so that everything will be visible.
The
Yeah,
visible?
now it's visible.
Yes.
Go to the full screen.
Can you see the full screen?
No, it's still that.
No? Okay.
No.
What about now?
Try this. No. I think.
Okay, I just made it full screen. I don't know.
No. What I would suggest you share everything, like the whole desktop. So then we'll able to see. Don't specifically share the PowerPoint. Okay, just unshare and share it again, the whole desktop. Okay. Yeah. Now you minimize this tab and now you go to full screen. Yeah. Now it's perfect. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think already a very good introduction has been given by Ipshita, and since the project uh, had been incepted quite a time ago, most of us who are present here in this discussion today, I think we are well aware about the tips and bits, the basic details of the project. However, I would start with enumerating the basic project details so that we could brush up our facts as well. It was incepted or conceptualized some time back in the 2020s during the period of lockdown when everything was total mayhem, and it was conceived by the Niti Aayog and then implemented as a mega project claimed to be a holistic development project to transform the Great Nicobar Island, which is actually the southernmost part of our country, into a global logistic hub. And the current total estimated cost for this project is around rupees 92,000 crore. Though initially, when it was incepted, it was conceptualized. If you go through the documents, you would see that it was nearly 72,000 crores. And since then, it has increased till 92,000 crores. And the total area that is targeted for this project is 166.1 square kilometer, and the total land area of the Great Nicobar Island is around 921 square kilometers. So you can understand that a very big chunk of this island, which is not just any island, it is an island that harvests, that shelters one of the largest tropical rainforests in the world. So this is the total area that this project intends to cover. And out of this 166.1 square kilometers, the forest diversion is itself 130.75 square kilometers. Uh, it is earmarked for the trans-shipment terminal that Ipshita has already mentioned, and the ports and everything that are going to be constructed there. So when we are talking about this project, as I have given a small map of the Great Nicobar Island project so that we can kind of understand where exactly the project is going to take place. The portion marked in orange is the area that is going to primarily harbor this Great Nicobar Island project. And this particular project is built around four main components located primarily on the southeastern coast of this island. The first part is the International Container Transshipment Terminal, which is going to be located at the Galathea Bay. Now, for those who are unaware about the geography of this Great Nicobar Island project, let me tell you that this part where I have the cursor is the Campbell Bay, and going further south, this part, which is already marked here where my cursor is moving, is the Galathea Bay. And this international container transshipment terminal is designed or conceptualized to be located at the Galathea Bay, and it is designed to handle a huge amount of cargo. Document wise, the mentioned amount of cargo is around 14.2 million 20-foot equivalent units. Now, along with this international container transshipment terminal, they are also talking about a port that is going to be created, which they are calling the Greenfield International Airport. And in the peak hours, this port will be able to handle around 4,000 passengers. They are saying that this is a dual purpose, a dual use international airport. That is, it would serve both military and civilian needs. Now, the next component that we are seeing is the Greenfield Township. After going through the first two components, that is a transshipment terminal and the international airport, that is talking about a dual use or a dual purpose airport, we have automatically perhaps thought that this is targeting economic development. And as has been mentioned time and again in numerous news portals and newspapers, that behind this GNI project lies a great sovereign strategic importance. So when we are talking of strategic importance, defense importance, and then we are seeing a greenfield township as an important component of this project, the question arises why. There might be a simple logical answer to it. When we are talking about economic development in the area, when we are constructing such a huge transshipment terminal, the terminal is not going to work on itself, right? The terminal is not going to operate on its own accord. It needs human beings who would operate the various machineries there. We need officials who are going to supervise over the work, over the cargo that are going to be moved in and out of the ports, in and out of the terminal. So to supervise everything, this is the reason being given, to supervise everything. In the first phase, the government intends to bring in around 3 lakh people into this island, which originally currently harbors around 8,000 people only. So in the first phase of this project, in building this township, the government intends to pull in 3 lakh people from the Indian mainland into this isolated island, into this isolated indigenous land, where originally only 8,000 people are living, where originally the rainforest, the ecology, is termed by biologists as being virgin. That is, they are untouched. Not much has been explored. And eventually, as the project comes to its completion, the target date being 2050, the government intends to bring in around 6.5 lakh people in total into this island. We are going to discuss on how this is going to affect or what implications that this might hold for the island as well as for the entire ecology at large. But till now, it is up to you to process this information. 8,000 current population versus 6.5 lakhs of a staggering population being dumped into a very small island of 921 square kilometer. And of course, the next important component is a power plant, because when you have so many people living here, when you have an international airport, when you have a trans-shipment terminal, you obviously require lots and lots of energy to power up everything, to run everything. So they are talking about constructing a 450 MVA gas and solar power plants there to power up everything. And I forgot to mention another thing. When we are talking about the Greenfields Township, another thing that is mentioned in the documents along with this township point is that they are also going to construct entertainment hubs in the townships. So obviously, wherever there is a population, there are people living. They just can't exist. They can't just work and come back to their homes. Entertainment is required. Other forms of activities are required, and this project is pulling in entertainment hubs, ecotourism, and many other such aspects like beach resorts and all. As I've already mentioned, this project intends to go through a phase-wise implementation. The intended budget currently is 92,000 crores. So obviously it cannot be implemented in one go. So the project is designed for a 30-year implementation cycle divided into three major phases. The phase one is intended to be completed by 2028, 2030. And it focuses primarily, the first phase focuses primarily on the development of the transshipment terminal and the international airport. And the initial cost, the initial investment is approximately somewhere around rupees 18,000 crores. And the phase 2 and phase 3 is intended to be completed by somewhere around 2052 or 2055. And this is going to focus on expanding the port berths and completion of the township and the tourism zones and the recreational hubs that they intend to create. Now comes a very interesting part, the National Green Tribunal. We have been hearing about it a lot. We have been debating on its remarks a lot. Again, the newspapers, the news portals are debating on it, and so are we, who are trying to look into it from a more logical and scientific point of view. And right now, the National Green Tribunal is practically a battleground as far as this Great Nicobar Island project is concerned. So we all know that it was 2020, the period of lockdown, when this project was conceptualized and it was being pushed by the Niti Aayog primarily. And it was in April 2023 that for the first time, there were many petitioners against this project being implemented in a high ecologically sensitive island like the GNI. So there were many petitioners who had moved the court to put a stay on this project. And in April 2023, the National Green Tribunal actually put a stay on this project for a period of 2 months, and they ordered a high-powered committee, an HPC, to revisit the environmental clearance, and this they did due to three major unanswered questions, unanswered deficiencies. The first was a discrepancy that was mentioned by one of the petitioners, that the HPC proceedings were opaque. The public it was not open before the public to review the terms of reference, and it was also being criticized that the terms of references are very narrow. They were not very scientifically analyzed and not scientifically assessed to give clearance to a staggering project like the GNI project. So this was one of the reasons. And along with that, there were concerns that the indigenous people, the tribal people who live there, their consent has been bypassed. So basically on these 2 points, the NGT asked the HPC, the high powered committee, to put a stay on the project to revisit the environmental clearance. But ultimately, we know this year, on February 26, 2026, a six-membered bench of the NGT, the National Green Tribunal, headed by Justice Prakash Srivastav at Eastern Zone Bench in Kolkata, cleared the project by stating that it was of sovereign strategic importance, and hence the NGT finds no reason whatsoever to put a stay on this project. And here I would ask all of you to focus on this phrase, strategic importance, and we shall come to discuss it later in this presentation. But let us just remember what the NGT just mentioned in its recent report while clearing this project, that it was of strategic importance and it sees no reason whatsoever to put a stay on it. However, whatever the NGT might say, there were several discrepancies still existing, and one that still existed was about the transparency of the HPC. There were accusations that it was a closed door clearance, and that many of the HPC members who were brought in to assess to revisit the environmental clearance, they were actually members from the Niti Aayog and the Ministry of Environment. So apparently the people who are themselves pushing this project forward are being brought in to conduct an independent and unbiased review. And I don't think I need to mention that this is an irony before us. So this was another discrepancy, and obviously there was a data gap because in terms of environment impact assessments, it is generally required that a 3-season data is produced, a 3-season data is analyzed. But in this case, the processes, the activities, the ecological activities going on in the island has been studied only for a particular season, and the rest of the seasons or the rest of the times have been grossly sidelined, sidetracked, and based on a 1-season data, the NGT has given its verdict. So these are the 3 discrepancies that many petitioners, many scientists, ecologists have brought forth to argue against the implementation of the GNI project. As I had said, that let us not forget these phrases, strategic importance and defense, that have been brought in by the NGT, by the government, by the news portals, and everyone who are pushing this project. Because it was also in my mind when I read this project first, it seemed like it is going to be a very beneficial project for the country, because we all look forward to safeguarding, protecting our country. And in terms, strategic and defense are such words that immediately ropes us in. But however, as the ecological concerns started stemming in, I tried to go through the original documents, and I found out that there are mainly 2 documents that came in the process. In the earliest official drafts and the initial conceptual rollout of the holistic development of Great Nicobar Island, which came in specifically during the 2020-2021 period, the primary focus was on commercial and economic growth. And anyone can just go and check the documents. They are available on public domain. So there I was trying to find out if there is any mention of the word strategic or defense or any intention. And I found out that in the first document, that is the document that was published in 2020 to 21 period, the word defense doesn't appear even once. if you go through the section 3.4.1 titled Draft Master Plan, then you would see that it mentions the word strategic just once, and that too not from a military point of view. It was more from a geo-economic point of view that they were mentioning that if we have a transshipment terminal there, then it is going to help in certain economic aspects, but in no way does it suggest a military strategic aspect or military strategic gain that might be achieved by our presence, that is the country's presence in that particular area. So primarily they are using terms like holistic development, sustainable growth, and economic hub in the first document that I went through. So next we are seeing that another document is coming up, and faced with intense environmental judicial scrutiny. That was the time people had already read the first document. They were already concerned that if this project comes to being, then it is going to collapse the huge rainforest, the ecological system that exists there, and hence the project started meeting with intense environmental and judicial scrutiny. And when met with this scrutiny, the government eventually started slowly, gradually moving towards the narrative of national security and defense importance as the project's main legal and public justification. And in 2000, like I said, in 2020, it was the first public draft by Niti Aayog, the request for proposals. And the second draft was the March 2021 pre-feasibility report. And in this pre-feasibility report, it is I think it's a 126 page report, and it majorly focuses on port logistics, the depths of water, the tourism potential of the island, the ecotourism potential of the island, and turning Great Nicobar Island into a global trading hub, etc. And again, in this uh, document as well, I was trying to find out, and I was expecting that maybe in this document they have focused more on the strategic and the defense part, but here too I find that there is a very brief mention of the word strategic 5 times. If you look at all the debates going on around this project, if you look at all the write-ups being brought in favor of this project, then the word strategic is mentioned in every line, literally. But in the document itself, the official document itself, the word strategic is mentioned literally 5 times, and that too again in a geo-economic sense and not in a geo-military sense. And again, it is available on public domain, and you can always go and check out if I am speaking the truth. So the word strategic appears 5 times. And there was another interesting thing. I was trying to see what about the other aspect. So here they are talking about tourism, and the word tourism appears for approximately 63 times. So by the number of times these important words which revolve around this project, you could understand which aspect is more important, which aspect is actually intentioned upon by those conceiving this project, and what we are actually being fed, the common people, the taxpayers are being fed. So we could easily compare the narrative by actually studying the original documents available on the public domain itself. And then obviously there was this question in my mind, that what was the reason that they suddenly shifted their language? Why the sudden shift in language? So as environmentalists and various tribal rights groups, even the tribal rights groups based in the Nicobar Islands, and scientists started filing petitions in the NGT and high courts, uh, they did a very interesting thing. Instead of revisiting the aspects of the project and trying to make it more ecologically friendly, they shifted or changed the language of the project. A very clever thing to do. And why they did this is because whenever we bring in defense, whenever we bring in strategic importance, whenever we say that our country is in danger of attack by different countries or so and so country, then automatically the nationalist emotions, the patriotic emotions, they get ignited, and people automatically come in support of such projects. But this is not the only reason. In fact, use of such words or use of such reasons for a particular project also gives it certain level of judicial immunity. Uh, in fact, in our law, in Indian law, uh, projects labeled as strategic or for national security are often granted a sovereign bypass. So this allows the government to keep certain reports, like the HPC report in this case, in a sealed cover, and limits public's right to cross-examine or analyze so-called sensitive data. And the second reason that I feel is to bypass public hearings. Um, you might know several revisits or several amendments have been made in the various forest um, uh, conservation acts that exist in our country, the forest laws that exist in our country. And right now, under the environmental impact assessment notification, it says that projects of strategic importance can be exempted from public hearings. And this is a crucial factor as far as the GNI is concerned, as it allows the project to bypass, number one, the intense local opposition from the local people, the indigenous people, and the tribal council environmental groups there, that would have occurred in a standard public hearing. And secondly, they are also bringing in public support, public support in favor of this project. So primarily because of these two reasons, this project has seen a sudden shift in the kind of language that was being used to push it. um, so like it has been mentioned that while the first draft was a commercial manifesto, later the project was rebranded as something of defense or strategic importance. And this rebranding provided the legal shields necessary to override the various forest conservation act, etc. And the tribal, there is something called the tribal Shompen policy, ultimately leading to the NGT's final verdict that we saw in the the last February verdict that we saw. Uh, Now, there were several reasons already in the discussion. I have mentioned that there were several reasons that were cited for the Great Nicobar Island project, like its leverage over the Strait of Malacca, which is just 150 kilometers away, and this would offer them a choke point surveillance. They could control the trade because because this gives it the location of the project gives it proximity to the east-west shipping route. So in that is the route through which around 30 to 40% of the world's maritime oil trade takes place. So presence of India in that location might help them control the trade. And they are saying that if they have a port there, they would be able to directly conduct the trade without going for some deviation, and hence save thousands of dollars, uh, which are quite valid reasons if we just look at them prima facie. But then if they are valid reasons, why are the general people, the scientists, the ecologists, and the people living on that island so concerned? What are we concerned about? The first obvious reason are the ecological concerns. If there is no environment, there is no we. uh, it is the environment, it is the ecology, the nature that harbors everything, whether it be the mechanical developments or the social developments. Everything is being carried out in the nature, in the environment. So obviously ecological concerns stand at as our priority, as our prior concern. And here the first thing that we see is a massive forest deforestation and a loss of rainforest. As I have already mentioned that uh, you know that is an area that is an ecologically sensitive area, and that is the area that has got lots a very huge tropical rainforest. And out of the 921 square kilometer of the total island, the project requires the diversion of over 130 square kilometer of the pristine tropical rainforest and the dredging of coral reefs. So officially they are saying that around earlier they were saying that around 9 lakh trees would be cut down, but recently the PIB report said that they are going to there's an estimate to clear approximately 7 lakh trees. But ecological sensors and estimations by various ecologists and botanists say that uh, by the time the project completes, the number might rise, the number of trees fells for this project might rise up to 1 crore. And right now in the first phase, the number might rise up to somewhere between 30 to 40 lakhs, which is a huge number considering the amount of oxygen that tropical rainforest gives out, not just to our country but to the entire globe, to the entire world. Losing 30 lakh important trees from a important forest land should be a matter of concern for any logical, for any scientifically tempered person. And uh, in spite of this, there has been I recently learned something new. I learned that it is a known thing even socially that we could buy our way out of any trouble. And here too, in terms of ecology too, a very similar thing is happening, and that process is called compensatory afforestation, where they are saying that yes, we are going to cut trees, we are going to destroy forests in the Great Nicobar Island project, but we are going to compensate. We are going to give you a compensation. How? By conducting compensatory afforestation, where not in the Great Nicobar Islands, but somewhere in the semi arid region of Haryana and Madhya Pradesh. Just imagine, I think all of us are well aware of the map of our country. We know where the Great Nicobar Islands are. Completely isolated, a coastal area, somewhere in the middle of the Bay of Bengal, and suddenly we are going to the hinterland, to a semi-arid region of Haryana and Madhya Pradesh, and talking about compensatory afforestation of the trees that we have cut down from a coastal region, and take it up and place it in a semi-arid land. Uh, I don't think that requires a great knowledge of ecology or great knowledge of botany to understand that plants that are habituated, that are well adapted rather to grow in a coastal region, can never adapt itself climatically, geographically to a semi-arid region which does not have anything akin to the condition that we see in coastal lands. So this is something that the government is saying to calm down the people. Uh, uh, we were once we were having a discussion amongst students and common people, and then someone jokingly said that this is the Haryana solution that has been given for this project. And why can't there was also a question raised that why can't this compensatory afforestation take place in GNI itself? It is because that already has 75% forest, and the government cannot find local land for compensatory afforestation. So they decided that if we don't have land there, we are rather going to go to Haryana, take the plants from here and place them in a semi-arid region over 2400 kilometers away, and tag that as compensatory afforestation. And we must remember that we are going to see that plants are being planted, but we won't know how successfully they have actually adapted to the climate and actually grown up into full grown trees. Because in case of most compensatory afforestation, the success rate has been very poor. And in this case, we could imagine that it is going to be the poorest. Uh, this is one thing. And apart from this, there are other very basic concerns like rainforests. They could never be placed elsewhere because it is a complex multi-layered forest. It harbors so many species. Carbon sequestration takes place, and we could never replicate an ancient biodiversity that has so far been untouched and pristine and virgin is the word that ecologists often use. Along with this, there are the obvious threat to the endemic species that are found there. One is the giant leatherback turtle. The construction of the international container transshipment terminal at this exact location would obviously involve dredging and breakwater construction that would permanently destroy the sandy beaches required for nesting of the giant leatherback turtle. This is the giant leatherback turtle whose nesting, they lay eggs on the sand, which is very crucial for them. And when we are constructing, we human beings interfere with their nesting grounds, that is obviously going to also affect their population because they are endemic to this place. And so is the problem with other endemic species like the Nicobar megapod, the long-tailed macaques, the rubber crabs that are found there, and many other such endemic species that exist there, that are dependent on the rainforests there, that are dependent on the ecology of the place. And for so-called development, we are actually ready to let go of all these wonderful creatures, of all these wonderful creations of nature in one go. um, Another controversy that has a reason is the coral reef translocation controversy, where they are saying that yes, we have to dredge that area and we have to make way for the transshipment terminal. And for that, don't worry, we are not just going to translocate the forests, but we are also going to translocate the coral colonies. And that number is around 16,150 coral colonies that are to be translocated to some other place from the project site to another alternate location by the Zoological Survey of India. Now, the Zoological Survey of India has claimed to have done such translocation previously as well, with an apparent 90% success rate. However, when I was trying to look for some supporting evidence, I found none. And there was no independent body that supports or stands with this claim that ZSI has made. So there was no scientific document to support that such a translocation has been done previously successfully. And similar concerns have also been projected by coral biologists like Dr. Brian Wilson. Recently, an article had come out where Brian Wilson is explaining at length why this is a scientific madness, noting that translocation often has poor survival rates and fails to replicate a functional reef ecosystem because, again, it is a very complicated, a very complex, rather, not complicated, a very complex multi-layered system that harbors a lot of important species. So, again, when these claims, these concerns started coming out, instead of addressing these concerns logically and scientifically, what the government does is it changes the map. It's very easy to change maps for them. What they have done is, here you could see, I have this news was given by National Herald. This is a map from 2020, where these portions that you see, these are the these are the coral reefs surrounding the Great Nicobar Island. And this map of from 2021, here somehow magically within a year, the coral reefs, the protected coral reefs have vanished at least from the government maps. And by showing these revised maps, by remapping the geography of an area, they are now saying that uh, no, the project is going to take place in an area where no coral reefs are being harmed, and hence we could easily carry on with this project. So we are seeing that there is a remapping of the coastal regulation zone to ensure that the project footprint, they are trying to show that the project footprint does not coincide with any sort of ecologically sensitive area, and they are trying to be legally clean. They are trying to show themselves as legally clean. Um, Another important aspect, not just ecologically, but we also have to uh, talk about the people who are associated with the place where this project is going to happen, is going to unfold. And we cannot discuss this project, the impacts of this project, without going into the socio-cultural aspect of it. Obviously, when if you look into this project, approximately 84 square kilometer of the tribal reserve area is going to coincide with the area of the project. And many incidents show, I'm not going into the details of it, many incidents show that this is kind of an imposition going on. In fact, the government body, the government tribal welfare body that is responsible for uh, uh, taking is responsible for the welfare of the tribal people, the indigenous people there, that body itself is going to the government, is going to the body that is looking after this GNI project, and saying that if they need any help in getting tribal lands, then tribal welfare body can help with it. And regarding this, there has been a lot of flare, a lot of controversy going on in that island itself. And the Nicobarese Tribal Council, they have claimed that they have withdrawn their consent towards this project. And because they have later, when they went through the project, they have realized that it is actually stripping them of their rights to stay there. Already in 2004, when the tsunami had happened, they had to let go of their lands, though even back then they were promised that one day they are going to be shifted back to their original villages. However, that has not taken place as of yet. And now today again we are seeing that they are going to be shifted elsewhere, they are going to be pushed somewhere else away from their land, in the name of development. So this is one aspect, a gross violation of rights that is going to take place. But but apart from this point, uh, I have two other points that I came across while uh, contacting some tribal people from elsewhere, from Bengal. And I realized this ecotourism that we are talking about, this ecotourism exists in Andaman as well. This ecotourism also exists in every tribal place of the country. And in the name of ecotourism, what they do is they go about and they practically show, oh, look, that is a Shompen. You know, they don't dress up. They lay naked, they stay naked. And so-called modern people like us, they go to such islands to look at those simple Shompen indigenous people, the Andamanis, the Nicobaris, and as if they are some objects to be viewed with lots of curiosity, as if they are not human beings. So an immediate question to such kind of ecotourism arises, that are we not compromising human dignity in the name of entertainment for a group of such people whom we term as advanced, progressive, modern, whatsoever? Another point is, as I've mentioned, that this is an island with a very restricted population of 8,000. And history shows us that even uh, before independence in the 19th century, when the British came to the Andaman Island and tried to develop that island, develop the people of that island, they ended up killing, or like I see it, murdering uh, approximately thousands of Andamanis, indigenous people, because they brought in food, they brought in things like liquor, tobacco, etc., which is not indigenous to the food habit of those people. And when they are consuming it, they are depending on it more and more. They do not produce those things indigenously on their land. They do not know how to produce it, and they are people who are dependent on nature. They are self-dependent people. So when such things are brought in, such foreign things are brought in from outside and suddenly imposed upon the people, and when these people become dependent on it, they gradually start losing their contact with their nature. And when those foreign things are stopped, the supply of those things are stopped, by this time the people have become addicted to it. And such cases, these are not some made up stories. You can go through numerous documents showing how Shompen people, how Nicobarese tribal people have become severely addicted to alcohol, severely addicted to tobacco. They cannot live without it. They just need it at any cost. This is one aspect. Another aspect is the disease contact. Because these people are uncontacted, the Shompens are a very small tribe. They are even linguistically uncontacted. We do not know their language as of yet. So when such people come in contact with people from the mainland, they are also standing at a
Adrika,
risk of disease. Yes.
I'm really sorry to interrupt. Just a reminder that we are going above 50 minutes roughly.
Okay. How much time do I have?
Um, I would conclude as soon as possible, and then maybe
Okay.
we can go to the question answer session and
Sure, sure,
answer
sure,
all the
sure.
questions.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes. So these people also stand at a risk of such diseases which would be brought in from the mainland, and they do not have the immunity to fight with these diseases, these foreign diseases, and will eventually collapse to it. They are going to succumb to it. Another aspect which has also not been considered in terms of uh, conceiving this project is the huge geological risk that such a centralized project stands at. Because this project, the entire project has been centralized to a zone that is seismically unstable. In 2004 also, when the tsunami happened, the island sank by approximately 3 meters. uh, Tectonic subsidence. And every year, this particular zone, it is termed as a seismic zone 5, and it has approximately 44 earthquakes or seismic movement, seismic activity in a year. So constructing such a huge project without proper analysis of the geology of the area can amount to risking a collapse of that entire centralized project. If we are supporting the project, then also we should consider if we are going to put in the hard earned taxpayers money in an area that is seismically so unstable and sensitive. um, the last question that we all have been asking: who are going to be benefited? Isn't this a forced development on the indigenous people? Because they do not want this. They know what the issues are. They want to protect their ecology. And we are seeing that while the indigenous people, the scientists, the ecologists, they are standing against it, they are concerned about it. There are already 11 private contenders standing in line for this project, including the Adani group of companies. And this has got a particular process. Here, the government, they invest in the hard infrastructure like breakwaters, dredging, etc. And when all the infrastructure is done, it is taken over. Its operations are taken over by a private player. So logically, if the port fails to attract enough global shipping traffic, the beneficiary, that is the private players, they remain safe, while the public, the ones who are paying the tax, hard earned money, we are going to be the loser, because there are several viability gaps, there are several infrastructural issues that we have already discussed. And the private operators, even if they are trying to come there, it is because not for the country, they are not coming there because they are going to give in their profits to the country, but because they would have a control over the trading line, the shipping line there. And hence, with this vested interest, vested personal interest, the port is being designed, the transshipment terminal is being designed, and this holds very little direct benefit to the Indian farmers or any small scale manufacturers who are in the Indian mainland. So this was a very basic uh, discussion that I wanted to initiate, and rest maybe we could take up with uh, the further questions and answers that we're going to have. Yes.
Definitely. Thank you so much for the detailed and very informative presentation. We'll now continue with the question answer session. For this, I and hand over this part to our BSS members, Dr. Shivi Saxena. She is a postdoctoral researcher at Indiana University, and Dr. Dibboshankar Das, who is also a postdoctoral researcher at INSA Toulouse in France.
Yeah, thank you, Shruti. Um, Such a nice presentation. I think we were getting information from here and there, and like we know part of it, maybe, but in a very comprehensive way, you have tried to put it in one presentation. Thank for that. So in the registration form, we had few questions. So we'll first go through those, and then there are a few questions in the chat bag, and also if who are there in the Zoom, if you have questions, you can just write it now in this time, so that we can go through those after we are done with these questions. So I will start with one question, which is asked by Shiva Agarwal. He has written it. I'm just rephrasing it. That it is said that we'll have some strategic defense incentive from the project. Okay. So his question is that so what we will lose if the project is not there? Okay, so that is the kind of you can say that this is the importance. So what if the project is not there, and what India will lose? He also written that some concerns are that countries like US and China do not want to have this project completed. So we are listening to this kind of news. So if you can comment something on this.
As far as losing something is concerned, they have answered this question. Okay, they have said that they don't want to lose out on the thousands of dollars by deviating the cargo from some other route, etc., etc. However, we might be losing out on a few dollars, that's true. But if we lose out on the entire ecological system, and if the entire ecological system collapses, uh, then what will the country have? And not just the country. I think when we are talking about an ecological collapse anywhere in the world, we are actually talking about impacting the global situation. And the concern lies here. If we are talking about the strategic importance, in Campbell Bay, the one that I had showed in Campbell Bay, there is already an existing military base, INS Baz. Baz means hawk. So INS Baz already exists there. In Tamil Nadu, which is one of the nearest coast from the GNIs. There also we have got a military presence, but most importantly, we have a military presence in Campbell Bay, and that could easily be invested upon, because investing on an existing military base would definitely lead to a less ecological damage. Second, less investment as well. If strategic importance is the main, they are saying forget about economic I mean the trade impacts and everything. We are mostly centered or focused around the attacks, or maybe the way China would attack upon our country. We are mostly concerned about that. So if that be, then INS bars already exists, it could be developed upon. Second is another thing I was mentioning about the Strait of Malacca, which is often termed as the Malacca dilemma. They are saying that if we have a presence there at Galathea Bay, which is the nearest part from the Strait of Malacca, then it is going to give us uh, an opportunity to create a choke point. Choke point means we could be able to blockade the Malacca Strait and stop all forms of connection with China that happens through the strait. But any logical person, I think, would question those are international waters. Those are not personal property or a sole property of India that we could just go about and truly choke an adversary by choking a particular deep water channel. Because if we go about doing that, it is going to lead to legal and diplomatic backfires, because the Strait of Malacca is classified under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. So the moment they're going about blocking a primary international waterway, it would be considered as an act of war under international law. So such strategic reasons or choke point surveillance or whatever they are doing, that is practically not possible. And if India were to use the Great Nicobar to physically block the strait, it would also risk losing the moral high ground, the international moral high ground, and the support of its partner in the quad, with USA, Australia, and Japan, who prioritize this free and open Indo-Pacific. So this is my understanding regarding this entire strategic reasoning that is being fed to us.
Yeah, thanks. And I think the strait is close to Singapore and Malaysia, so which is like far from like, even if ever happen that there's some choke point or something, they will have a much larger ground to block it rather than India blocking it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even if they're choking one strait, there are two more channels through which they can divert the shipment.
Yeah.
It might cost a little more for them, but they can do that. You cannot choke them completely.
Okay, Shivi, if you.
Next question is from Sumit Bhattacharjee. Sumit, if you are here, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Yeah, I think Sumit is here. I think we can remove that. Yeah, you can unmute.
Yes, hi.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I think. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering that I think somewhere it's mentioned that 136 square kilometer out of 166 square kilometer is being used for the development, I mean, for the project. So what would they do with the rest of the land? About 30 square kilometers of the land.
The rest of the land, like the 130, approximately 130 square kilometer of land that I particularly talked about in this discussion was the forest diversion that we are focusing on. And the rest, approximately 36 square kilometer of land, is what we call the revenue land. Revenue land, as in the particular land that has got houses or small shops or small scale industries from which the government is extracting revenue or getting revenue. So the rest 36 square kilometer of land is the revenue land where the people of that island, they're living.
Okay. Hmm.
Do you have more questions, Sumit?
Um, no, that would be all. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question is from Balaka Chatterjee. Um, Balak, if you are here, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question? If not, then I can summarize his question. His question is that if the scientists' warnings come true, can damaged ecosystem and the culture of the Shompen be truly restored if the Great Nicobar Island project harms them?
Yes, that is my concern as well. um, I am currently a student of a scholar of folk literature, so um, just give me a just give me a few minutes to just recall an incident I had with a tribe in North Bengal, the Toto tribes, and they are very angry with us. And they told me that you people come to our land. We live in such a small land. You come to our land, and then you would look at us and say, "Oh, they eat in this way. Oh, they stay in this way. Oh, they are laughing in this way. Are we not human beings? Why would you come and observe us in this way? Where is our dignity?" The very few people who have got education, they are actually raising this question, and they are very angry with us for doing these things. And this is not an isolated case. As I've already mentioned, that such so-called ecotourism, if you there have been numerous studies, numerous anthropological studies made in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and it has been observed that even in restricted areas, for like 5,000, 6,000 rupees, some people would drive tourists to hinterlands of that place and tell them, look, that is a champagne, they live naked. Now though, I just imagine this thing happening with you, someone coming and intervening in my personal space and trying to show that I am unique, I am somehow different, I am not them. So this, firstly, this is very problematic to bring everyone under one umbrella, especially in a world and in a country that stands up for diversity. And number two, it grossly interferes with human dignity. And if the scientists warnings come true, because in terms of the champagnes, the scientists, the ethnologists have been giving warnings from a very long time. The champagnes are already a very small group of people. They are uncontacted people, and if we bring in a staggering number of 6.5 lakh people into this island, these people lack the immunity to fight with the kind of diseases that we are immune towards, or that we are adept to fight against. So it is a matter to think, is it's like I always give this example. Suppose someone is lactose intolerant, and I am saying, no, no, we have to give him milk, otherwise development is not going to take place. Something of that sort is happening with the champagnes there. They are saying we do not want that development, but others are saying, no, we want to develop you by bringing in alcohol, by bringing in tobacco, by bringing in transshipment terminals. So yeah, if the warnings come true, which are going to come true, then they are in danger.
And there is a similar, like on similar note, there is a in chat box there is a question by George Joseph that in addition, is replacing old forest by planting trees elsewhere is scientifically sound?
No, it is not. I already answered it. Compensatory afforestation is a madness. It is unscientific. It is, I don't know how it is even logically supported, scientifically supported. I don't know how these things could be carried out.
Yeah, I think with the around the same theme, Shushobhan has a question. So if so, he is in the meeting. So if you can unmute yourself and ask, then we can discuss about the point. Then we'll go to other questions on the from our HQ.
Yeah, hi. Thanks,
Yeah.
Adrija, for the nice and detailed talk. So I had this question like, are there any alternative solutions proposed by the environmentalists or the scientists about how to reduce the deforestation and make it more ecologically clean, apart from the compensatory afforestation, of course, like leaving that aside.
Uh, there are several methods through which such developmental projects could be implemented. Uh, I cannot exactly recall the names, but I know some are followed in Madagascar, where they focus on um, in situ conservation of the forests or of the ecology. If you are doing a development project in a place, then you have to ensure that your in situ conservation is higher than what you are actually based in. So such concepts, such models, many such models exist. But if we talk in terms of the Great Nicobar Island project, they are talking about surveillance, they are talking about um, maintaining a military base or a military presence so that they can uh, keep a check on the activities of the other nations. If that is true, then I think nowadays we have got a huge technological advancement, and there is something called the hail uh, uh, that that helps us install or give with the help of drones we can do a surveillance from high altitudes for a very long period of time without being actually present in that particular area. And this technology is used in many countries, even in our country in many places this technology is used. And the aircrafts also that they are mentioning, that does not need to be present particularly in that island to maintain a surveillance. Like I have already mentioned, ins bars already exist there, and even if you want to strengthen up your strategic presence, your military base, you can do so by developing the already existing ins bars, and also boosting up your uh, uh, how you could maintain surveillance from elsewhere. For that, you do not need to cut down all the forests. And moreover, another imperative question that stands before us is, if you are actually looking into if you're actually talking about defense, then why are you bringing in 6.5 lakhs people in an area which you want to use for defense purposes? Just imagine how easy it would be. Since we're talking about China, then let me take the example of China. In a centralized, it is a fragile basket where we are putting in all our eggs. So China just needs to target one particular place, and in one go everything would be gone, including 6.5 lakh civilians. So this is a very questionable thing to do if defense strategy is their mission. If it is truly the mission, just gear up your work in the INS bars that already exist in the Campbell Bay.
Yeah, thanks. I had just a follow-up one question. So is the financial cost for the alternative solutions more higher or lower than the proposed the Great Nicobar project?
The sorry, I didn't
The
follow.
cost, the final economic factor, the financial cost of
I
you
think
propose this
it's
using
always
drones to monitor the yeah.
yeah, it's always cheaper to build on the existing infrastructure, right? So I don't have numbers probably to present you at this moment, but I think maybe Adrika can have. So setting up a completely new project should be much a cheaper option would be to invest on the existing bases they have in the same island.
Right, yeah.
Why not?
It's
Yeah.
definitely cheaper than 92,000 crore and all the hassle of settling in 6.5 lakh people and doing ecotourism hubs and etc.
Okay.
And also, if I can comment on what Shushovan asked, actually, so uh, it's not about alternative of the deforestation and all. You have to understand. I think which is more important is that uh, it's not only about how much carbon dioxide it's sucking and how much oxygen it is producing. So their solution is reforestation is just compensate that much amount of oxygen is will be produced and it will be produced somewhere else. But I think which is much more important is there are species which are endangered. I mean in the world you just get that those species in that specific place, and that is as Adrika mentioned, it's a like virgin rainforest, so you don't know there might be, say, I'm just guessing, there might be a solution of some disease existing in that rainforest. It's actually waiting for us to do research on that. But if you go there and just cut the tree, so thousands of possible medical solutions, those they're hiding in the forest now, right now. If you just go and cut those things, and they will be gone. So they're yet to explore those things.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
I
get
think
it.
that
Yeah.
has much more importance rather than just carbon and carbon dioxide and oxygen max.
Yeah, but the primary concern should be the ecology, the carbon
Right,
footprint, right? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
right. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I have interrupted you rather than you were
No,
answering.
there is no interruption. This is a discussion going on. So what is the
Yeah,
interruption?
yeah. Anyway, so what we'll do now? So there we are getting lots of questions. So I think we can take another from here. Yeah, so Devanuj has a question. If Devanuj can unmute yourself.
And thanks for the talk. I was curious about the fact that if there are alternative solutions, what can they be? For example, China builds a lot of artificial islands in the South China Sea, mostly for military purposes. But to evade the ecological cost of this Nicobar project, building an artificial island, can it be probable solution? Although it might have a more economic burden on it, but does the government think about these things?
Uh, Creating an artificial island, yes. Recently, I was reading something like to, uh, ensure better strategic presence on international waters. China has been creating artificial islands by dumping sands on relatively shallow water areas. However, again, there is the concern: how do we translocate the ecology that exists in GNI? Suppose I'm creating an artificial island, so how do I translocate the exact ecology that has been existing in that place since time immemorial, if I'm not exaggerating? uh, how can I translocate the coral reefs that surround that island? That place is going to have, it has its own very own ecological conditions. That is one thing. Another thing is, nothing could be recreated artificially. That is one aspect. And uh, whenever such mega developmental projects are kind of hastened or hurried into the social system, it will going to damage the environment, the ecology. uh, there are definitely some models that claim to balance the ecological damage that projects are causing. I'm To be very honest, I'm not very well aware of it. I just simply know them by facts. I do not have an analysis of it, as in how impactful they are, or how impactful they are in the way that they claim to be. However, like the Boda had already said, that more importantly, we have to understand that when we are going about with a developmental project, we have to ask the question: development for whom? if we are saying that we are going to do a development there, yes, development is an utmost necessity for any nation, for us as well. But at what cost are we bringing it about? Are we consulting with the people who are living in that particular area where that developmental project is going to be unfolded? Are we consulting, or are we even assessing the place in terms that if that project is suitable for that area, because there are seismic activities going on? And going back to that artificial island creation thing, I don't think we can balance the nature by artificially recreating anything. At
No,
least
I
that is
think,
my
sorry,
understanding.
my point was not relocation, but using the artificial island for the development of the hub.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid thing you will ask, that why, destructing that island. You can build a separate artificial island and put your all military or whatever port you are thinking, you put there. So what China is doing. So I mean, without attacking the Great Nicobar Island ecology. So I don't know. I don't have any answer if Advika can tell.
No, even then, again, if you're bringing in ports and everything, again, that same thing comes to my mind, that if uh, why not first focus on strengthening what already exists with me? Like, I already have a house that needs reconstruction, but instead of reconstructing that house, I'm going about and building another house. Same with ins bars, it exists there. Why not invest into like strengthening it up, adding on to some infrastructure or whatever? Creating an island altogether, I think that would require some shallow waters where India could go up to and creating it. I don't know what the international laws are in those terms. How China does it, I don't know. But before doing that, why not focus on INS bars that already exist there? That is the question. I think even many retired naval officers are also asking. Admirals are also asking.
Okay,
Thank you.
Shivi.
Thank you.
For the next question, actually, I can club both of Mayur Bajaj and Lalita Ramdas. The question is that what has been the scale and nature of protest against the Great Nicobar project? Who is raising these concerns? That is, which institutions have been approached, and is there a potential for a coordinated multidisciplinary challenge at the national level? And in a on similar note, how can one protest in favor of the environment and the people of Nicobar Island in a fruitful manner in such a current or possible future scenario? How can a citizen go about actually being heard?
Um, I think that is a very important question right now that stands before us. As far as protests are concerned, we are not seeing the kind of protest that we saw in terms of the Aravali case that we had faced. However, uh, particularly from our end, from Breakthrough Science Society's end, if we could uh, say, there have been numerous small scale pocket discussions that we have been trying to organize and organizing in different places, uh, primarily because this project, we view it uh, as something that is not isolated, as something that is not happening for the first time. And very recently, if you might be aware, there is this Ken Betwa river linking project happening in Madhya Pradesh, where thousands of common peasants, women and men, have come out of their homes, and they are doing Chita Andolan. They are saying that they are lying on pyres, and they are saying that we are not going to let you destroy our ecology by turning the rivers, or in the name of development. And that Andolan, that project, that protest is continuing there. Similar kind of protests were observed, or similar kind of things have been observed in Orissa as well, where the Vedanta project was being unfolded and common tribal people, they were protesting. Similarly, in Andaman as well, common indigenous people, they are protesting, and right now it is now that we are discussing about the Great Nicobar Island project, we have to keep it in mind that when we are discussing about any one project, we also have to take into account the other so-called developmental projects that are unfolding in different corners of the country, and how a similar narrative is being brought about in every part of the country. In Rajasthan somewhere, they were installing solar power plants by saying that it is required for development, but peasants there, they stood against it by saying that no, this would actually harm our ecology. So prima facie it might appear that okay, they are obstructing development, but we have to keep our ears open to the people who are living there. So this is going on everywhere: Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Great Nicobar Island project, and we have to study them, analyze them in a coordinated manner, not in an isolated form, and through pocket scale discussions, through pocket scale awareness programs. Only when people are aware, they are going to stand against, not maybe against this GNI project right now, but like in Purulia, I think something was happening, and people resisted against it because now they are becoming aware. Breakthrough had conducted several conventions there against ecological damages. Now that people have become aware, they know that they need to come together and come out and resist these so-called development projects for the sake of ecology. So I think we have to focus on, many legal battles are going on, but we have to focus on how to raise the scientific questions and how to address them scientifically.
Yeah, I think one of the aspect can be the one obviously is to create awareness, and also the as you have said it, like there are lots of success stories like where people were united and this kind of activities were stopped at that region. So, but those are scattered things. Only probably local newspaper covered that, or maybe not covered that, so we don't have the information of those kind of uprising and the success story in those local places. But if this can be done in a coordinated manner through not only breakthrough is obviously one of them who is raising the voice, but there can be multiple organizations who are against this. But we all raising our voice in a scattered way. So if we
Absolutely.
coordinate among them ourselves and we raise voice in a very coherent manner, maybe something will happen.
And another point I just wanted to add in, uh, it is not something about intellectual discussions that we are sitting in the comforts of our home. There has to be a mass connect. We are learning something today, maybe from this discussion. Then we also have to go to the grassroots levels, wherever it is. Maybe I'm living in Delhi. I do not have a big forest land here, but I definitely have people who are suffering the brunts of ecological damage, and I could translate this knowledge, take this knowledge up to those people, and that is important for us to create a bridge, to create a connect between these intellectual discussions, these webinars, as well as the masses, the grassroots people who are maybe not very aware or scientifically aware about these issues.
Right. Thank you. And I think Mainak has raised a question. If you can unmute yourself, Mainak.
I was just going to ask, there are many surrounding countries, and any kind of ecological interventions can also impact them. Has there been any any objections from any surrounding countries like Indonesia or any other island countries?
I don't have an idea regarding that. Like if they have any objection regarding constructions going on in Great Nicobar Island.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid question. We should
We should look
dig
into
these
it.
things. Yeah,
Yes.
because if they are going to affect, they're obviously going to should be raising some concern about that, and we should try to dig this whether they have
Yes.
protested against this. Yeah. Uh, okay, I think we have covered almost all the questions. If last chance to the audience here, if you have any question, even from this discussion.
Can I ask?
Yeah,
This is
sure.
Dr.
Go ahead.
Ismail from Calicut, Kerala.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So it was very interesting. Adrika Madam presented very well, and she has touched upon all the aspects, ecological concerns, sociocultural aspects, and geological risks also. I'm really wondering whether this any initiative has been taken against this project, especially in the Green Tribunal. I don't know what this Green Tribunal is doing, sitting there. Has any initiative been taken by this organization or some other organization? And have we thought of joining hands with many of the organizations in the country to go against this devastating ecological problem? That's my question.
Yeah, and also I would suggest Advika to somehow answer this question by taking into account that what Breakthrough is doing and what is Breakthrough's plan and what is Breakthrough's perspective about this project. If you can, combine that with Dr. Srikmohan's answers.
And also, let me add one more thing.
Yes.
I don't know whether this breakthrough is there in Singapore, Malaysia, and other places, so that we can know about what their idea is about this project, whether they are aware of it or not. Okay.
As I've already mentioned, this project is not an isolated attack on ecology. Like the title of the seminar itself says, another attack on ecology. So Breakthrough Science Society has been addressing such repeated attacks on ecology, or rather exploitation of ecology for the vested interest of a selected few, for a very long time. Because initially we have seen how acres of land in Chhattisgarh had been cleared out for the mining interests of certain private contenders. We have seen how the hills of Orissa have been exploited for the vested interests of the Vedanta group of companies. And obviously, people have stood against it. Similar things have happened in Purulia, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, like I have already mentioned. So, Breakthrough Science Society intends to take this up as a part of the environment movement that we are planning to spread across the country. And this is going to start, like I have already mentioned, that this awareness, these discussions, that these things that we are learning from each other today, and through many other such discussions in the past days and in the upcoming days, we have to take this knowledge to the grassroots levels. We also have to interact with the people and augment our knowledge through their empirical knowledge. Because maybe what we are learning, that is through some textbook or videos or some interviews with some intellectual scientists, etc. But what those people are actually experiencing on ground, like I am living in Delhi, I know there is a huge problem of the Yamuna pollution here in Delhi, but maybe I'm not directly affected by it. I am privileged to install an RO in my house, but not every person in Delhi is privileged. So it is important for me to go up to those people and augment my knowledge by including their empirical knowledge with their wisdom, rather, with this knowledge. So Breakthrough Science Society is aiming that such pocket scale discussions should be conducted amongst ourselves, the students, scholars, scientists, doctors, etc. And also such pocket discussions and meetings with the grassroots level people, so that there is a continuous flow of awareness. And when this awareness reaches a point, I mean reaches a point means there are a group of people who are aware that whatever is happening, it's not right, and it is going to affect not just me but generations after me, they are going to come out to protest it, to stop it. And this we have seen time and again, like in Orissa. Just a few days back, 12 tribal women, they were released from jail. They were arrested for protesting against the Vedanta project. They wanted to protect their tribal reserve land, and for that they had been arrested. And now, just a few days back, they have been released. So those women, how did they become aware? Obviously, they realized they are living with their nature, and they realized if an ecology is disturbed, this is going to be a problem. And Breakthrough Science Society cannot do it alone. No one can do it alone. It is not a personal issue, it is a collective issue. It is a collective issue of the society. And yes, even uh, in the last India March for Science that had happened, we had contacted with several organizations, including Down to Earth, that we know that a magazine is published, and many several other such organizations, to come together and address such environmental issues in a more collective manner. That is important. If different organizations working on these issues come together, we might be able to thwart such an attack on ecology in a more effective manner. So yes.
Thank you, madam. Wonderful presentation. I liked it.
Okay, yeah. Thanks a lot. We are almost discussing for 1.5 hours now, though it never felt like that. But we have to come to an end now. So I will request Ipshita again to give the vote of thanks and conclude the session.
Thank you, Dibbo. As we are towards the end of the program, I, on behalf of the BSS-Abroad chapter, would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the speaker for this amazing presentation, for her time, insights, and her expertise. I also thank all the participants for being part of this important discussion. And definitely special thanks go to the organizing team for conducting the webinar so smoothly and effectively. As highlighted by our speaker, although presented as a pathway toward economic growth and strategic development, the project really threatens the fragile rainforest ecosystems, biodiversity, coral reefs, and indigenous communities through large-scale ecological disruption. So at a time when protecting vulnerable ecosystems has become more urgent than ever, it is really important to reflect on what sustainable development truly means and how we can preserve such unique natural heritage for further generations. In this situation, the only path forward, as also mentioned by our speaker, is a united people's movement, one that stands for environmental protection, human rights, and the future of our planet. To support this cause, the Breakthrough Science Society has launched a nationwide public awareness campaign to build strong grassroots levels environmental movements. So we appeal to all the members of the audience to join us in this initiative and take up membership of Breakthrough Science Society. The form may be found on the website of Breakthrough Science Society in breakthroughindia.org. We sincerely hope that more and more people will join BSS and take part in this vital effort to save the humanity. With that appeal and hope, we would conclude our program today. Thank you all once again.